So, you kind of appreciate the training camp, first day of school, being around the guys. Like, now it's, we're going to battle. Now it's real, mini camp, OTAs are, it's a part of the process as well, but it's not nowhere close to the same as training camp. Training camp's a different beast. I mean, you come in on a mission now, ready to go out there and, stake a claim. Like, hey, we're coming this year. We're gonna be the best we can be. Go out there and compete, and try to win ball games.
Do you feel like you got, because you had your own regimen, you made that very clear when you signed here. Like, do you feel like you got enough out of your own regimen to where you feel how you feel right now?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be playing this game if I didn't think I'd be great at it. I got a great team. That's 100% necessary for me to do what I do, and it's always, always great having people that you can depend on that help you. It's kind of, equivalent to being on the field with the guys. I mean, everybody has a part, and you're only as good as your weakest link, and everybody has to be on point and accountable. And so same thing, personally, just with my team and staff. I just have, people I know that I can depend on. To work with them for years, and they help me get to where I need to be.
In all seriousness, though, do you manage yourself during training camp more because of the amount of years you played, because of the amount of, like you said, you want to play 60% of snaps? So is that, do you have a kind of plan, or is that something you talk about Chris Smith about being kind of smart?
Yeah, it's part of it, and so, I mean, when I was younger, I run to the ball 100 miles per hour every play, I'm out there, and, but as you get older, you have to be a lot more smart about, where you, spend all your time and effort and trying to get better and stuff. So, there's definitely, a plan in place, and we just got to go through that. But, yeah, it's not as it used to be, that's for sure. So it's definitely different.
You're 15. What do you look forward to the most about the start of training camp?
You're 16.
16.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just being around the guys. I mean, I got to know them a little bit, but it's a new group, a totally new group, and so it's just kind of building those bonds and creating the relationships that are going to allow us to be successful on the football field, and just kind of have that brotherhood. I think it's kind of like new beginnings. It's exciting when you go to a new team, a new environment. You're kind of learning everything. It kind of gives you that burst of just energy of I want to prove myself. I want to be out there and be great for my teammates and for the coaches and the front office that believed in me, gave me the opportunity, and so it's just very excited.
How do you get to know some of the guys? Like, did you meet up with them during the off season, or is it more like?
Yeah, we kept some conversations and stuff, but everybody had their own kind of thing. What works for them. I mean, and stuff like that. But we stayed in contact, and kind of got a little group chat, a lot of good humor and everything else. Just building that bond. So, but I think sweating together is the best way. And then obviously doing stuff. Once you got training camp together and all that will play a big part as well. But I mean, when you go out there and you grind together and blood, sweat, and tears, all that stuff together, that's what builds it. I mean, you see it at every level. High school football, little league football, it's the same thing. Training camp is where you really gel together. So looking forward to it.
Drake kind of joked that like today is like the last day he's going to feel 100%.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, he's young, so he's going to feel a lot better than I feel for sure. It's just naturally, I mean, I don't even know how old he is. I think he had a birthday yesterday, but just super young, and I didn't quite understand my youth in my younger days. Some older guys tried to tell me, it's like, oh, appreciate that, and I'm like, okay. I don't know what you mean by that, but I hear you. Well, now I understand completely, loud and clear. But this is definitely the best I'm going to feel all year too. But that's part of it. I mean, part of this game is embracing the suck, embracing the pain, and and using it to your advantage. Everybody's going to be hurting. I mean, that's the nature of the game, and so I mean, I just know that if I'm hurting, the next man is too, and I can handle it. I know I can, I can take it and smile and come out on the other end stronger. So, looking forward to that.
Do you have a roommate assignment yet?
Yeah, I'm in with Grady Jarrett and Anyamata, and I believe it was TQ. So,
what makes a good roommate during training
camp? I haven't been in this environment in a while, so we're in like the dorms and having roommates in a while, so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an adjustment. I'm thinking back to when we were in this environment. I think the biggest thing though is somebody who understands the sharing of snacks and all the things you need to. In years past we'll play cards and stuff during the downtime and build that camaraderie that you need. I think the best roommates are the ones that don't make too much noise at night when it's time to go to sleep. Ain't staying up late playing video games and stuff like that. They just know. We hang out, we break bread together, and just a lot of trash talking, a lot of hanging out, and just some brotherhood.
What's your go-to snack? What are you territorial?
Well, I kind of like a lot of snacks. I've had to adjust on my snack intake, as I got older and stuff, just because the sugar can create inflammation in the body, and I used to not feel it when I was younger, but I do feel a little bit more. But, I've been, either like a payday or, some like kind of sugar gummies, but, I got a couple of little things that when you need to pick me up, and it's like I don't care about hurting. I'm gonna be hurting regardless. I'm gonna get some good food in my life, something sweet.
Do you have them hidden do you have them hidden in the
Oh no,
okay.
no, yeah, it's out there we're sharing people, Yeah, we just make sure the rookies go get enough. If we run out, just gotta send the rookies go get more.
Did you see the quarterbacks documentary on Netflix? Did you think they should make one about the linemen?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, the quarterbacks it's the most important position. I give them that. It is, and it is deciding. When I was watching it, it was like, can you like the guys more? But I did. My favorite part was when they were showing the quarterbacks just getting demolished and how hard it was. How hard they get hit. And I'm like, we try to rough you up within reason. Within the rules. But I want that part of it. We need more of that. Us hitting quarterbacks. Obviously, too. Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league, so they're going to protect him like they protected Tom Brady. That's just how it goes. So you got to be careful. I don't want to hurt the team, so I don't ever want to get penalties.
That's a little sore spot from last year around here, right?
I do not. No.
When Grady Jarrett threw sacked Tom Brady, it was called for roughing the passer.
Oh yeah, see, you guys know very well. Then this is, there's certain guys you gotta just, you can't tackle them too hard. And honestly, sacks count too. I don't know how many sacks I got called back in my career. Way more than should be though. And you don't want to hurt the team. You don't want to hurt yourself. So you tackle a quarterback within the rules. But certain guys you got to make sure that you're overemphasizing the rules because it's just the way the game is going. Keep the quarterback safe. The game, we sell a lot of tickets and all that good stuff, but you still got to hit them though. Still got to rough them up. So.
What Mac do? What Mac do that crossed the line? What did you feel like?
I don't remember. I was just trash talking to the the highest level, but it's just like you don't trash talk me.
I wouldn't.
I was gonna say, are you one of those guys that if they don't make you mad type of deal? If they say something, you're like, I'll come at you.
Yeah, I play better when I'm upset, and I wish I could kind of just figure out how to get there without being driven there. I've tried for 16 years or 15 years, and it's a challenge to get to that level. But when somebody gets me there, it's game over. I'm dominating. You can see 3-4 plays in a row where I'm just the best player on the field by far, and I wish I could get there all the time on my own. But make it easy on me, please.
You can make up some stuff like Michael Jordan does.
Yeah, right. I'll try this.
Players, how many times during mini camp, OTAs, and now guys came up to you and said, "I used to watch you playing." Is that a badge of honor that some of these guys have known about you and now get to play with you?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting when these younger guys are like, hey man, I've been watching you my whole life, And I'm like, what year were you born? They're right. Some of these guys, when they start turning 8, 9 years old, I've been in the league the whole time. So, all they know is, the NFL when I was in it, which is crazy because there's some guys I'm talking about, some old guys, and they're like, who's that? You don't know who these legends are. It's like, you got to do a better job of teaching the game to these young guys.
Has anyone pranked you at all? Giving you a cane or a rocking chair?
Nah, that would be disrespectful. That goes into getting me mad.
Maybe that's a pregame trick.
All right, anything else?
Thank you for
That's it.
your
Thank
time.
you.